Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, my co-hosts WinTweetDAO and Ron Richards, and we have a lot of news for you this week. Pixel feature drop just happened. Also includes access for Pixel phones for a music creation app that's a little weird. USB-C all the way in the EU coming up in a couple of years. Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 6a for sale on Facebook Marketplace, even though they're not even out yet. Kind of crazy stuff. Meet and Duo combine to create the mullet of video conferencing apps, and Bixby invades the feedback section up next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/AAA. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their quiz and let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. Hello and welcome to All About Android. This is episode 581, recorded on Tuesday, June 7th, 2022. Your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And they call me Ron Richards.
They do.
And I'm WinTweetDAO.
They call you Win. It's good to see you. Welcome back, Win.
Hey, I'm back. I'm back.
Yes, indeed.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
I feel like
y'all too.
I feel like my brain is a little scrambled. Our pre-show, we're playing around with an app that we're going to talk about.
Our pre-show was an adventure.
It was an adventure for a number of reasons, but this app that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, I feel like it's kind of broken me a little bit because I have these weird little patterns skipping through my head, and I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like this kind of pattern that's going nonstop in my head, but we have actually a pretty decent rundown of stories this week. The news gods were good for us this week in the world of Android.
Because last week they made us work for it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Win, I don't know if you watched or listened to last week's show.
Yeah, I listened.
Yeah, it was Rumor Palooza. It was Feedback Palooza. It was like Jason and Ron vamping for an hour 20.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah.
But it all worked out, as it usually does. So, but we do actually have some pretty good news to talk about. So why don't we get to talking about it? Burke, I hope you're ready for this. It's time for the news.
I'm just going to have to say that it must have been the teenage engineering app also that scrambled everything, including me.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe this app that we're going to talk about here in a second actually broke the TriCaster. Like it was like a QR code, but an audible QR code that actually hacked our TriCaster. We'll never know. But anyways, Win, I don't want to steal your thunder, so go for it.
Well, yeah. With this first story, we actually probably could get a beat drop for this feature drop for the June 2022 feature drop for Pixel 4 and above. And just right off the bat, let's talk about this thing. Very unusually for a feature drop is the Pocket Operator for Pixel. So the Pocket Operator is actually an app that was done in collaboration with Teenage Engineering. Is it Teenage Engineering? I think I wrote that down wrong. Teenage Engineering.
Yeah, Teenage Engineering, you got it.
I'm not a musical person, not a musician, so I don't know if this is like a well-known company, but they're a Swedish consumer electronics company known for kind of wireless audio devices and synthesizers, sequencers, and samplers. And one of their products is actually a physical device called a Pocket Operator, which is basically a small, ultra-portable music device which promises studio-quality sound and flexibility to make music on the go. Well, guess what? They've taken that and they've made an app out of it with Google. And so that's... If you were unfortunate enough to be on the live stream before the show started,
oh boy,
that is what you're hearing, the Pocket Operator. So it's basically an app that allows you to either import or record your own video, and with a little ML and other magic, it actually seems to like take the audio from the video and the video file itself and kind of try to break it up into mixable, sequenceable clips, throws in some like different tracks and other kind of effects, and yeah, you can make music just like the beautiful beats that. What was that?
I don't know.
Is that a puppet?
Whoa!
What?
This is a section of the app that I don't know that I had found.
It looks like a game.
Yeah, well, there's something called like a chaos pad, or it's like a MIDI control pad, and so it changes the XY coordinates depending on where this is. So you assign that to different effects, and it does different things. So I'm imagining that's what this is, but
so for our audio listeners, Jason is holding the app, and on the upper portion of the app is a video, and the bottom portion of the app is previously in the pre-show when we were looking at it was the controls where you could tap on notes or instruments or stuff like that. Now it's a series of colors. Oh, look at that.
Oh, just figured out something new on
if you tap on the far left and right of it, it swipes between the controls. Okay. And so the first screen is a series of instruments, guitar, drum. Those are drums, right?
Yeah. That's like the drum pad, and then over here you got.
And then those are the notes, and then there's a MIDI pad, a block of colors and things like that. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very unusual Android app. It's very freeform. It's nothing like a typical Android app that actually is for everyday kind of things. It's very freeform. It's really bright and colorful, which I think jives with the teenage engineering's like aesthetic. A lot of their devices are like hyper like colored and very kind of like I don't know. Teenage engineering kind of like encapsulates this kind of feeling of like very youthful and very fun and very like colorful, which I think, exactly. Yeah. So for people on the video stream, you can actually see this is the actual pocket, like the tangible pocket operator. So they're really brightly colored, lots of different colors, and it's really meant to be like this like portable music creation. And it's kind of cool to see them bring it to Android. It's a very atypical app. I would not even know where to start with this. It is a little confusing, but I think it's really cool because, it's trying to blend a lot of things that Google does. Like I think there's definitely some machine learning in it because it's actually parsing the video file and creating like, for example, Jason coughed and it created like modulated versions of it in like a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale. I used it to similar effect. And and it allows you to basically mix and match. There's like multiple tracks and you can export this. It's part of the feature drop in June for the June feature drop. It's more of like a
software emulation of their hardware devices they make.
Yeah, I think so.
To me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is interesting. If you go to Keyword, which is the Google blog, they have this whole like flashy like feature drop video. So it kind of, I feel like it's blending in with trying to make Pixel fun and like, I don't know, well designed, kind of hip and like brightly colored and energetic.
Yeah,
so maybe
shareable.
This is why,
something that's shareable. You can export the video and the audio and share it online. And teenage engineering, I mean, in the audio realm has definitely has some credibility for being incredibly unique and creative with their tools and everything, and also like that portability factor. So the idea of their hardware ending up on something that's already portable, your smartphone, actually makes a lot of sense. It is a little confusing, I will admit. And like, I'm a musician. I've played with a lot of different pieces of software, audio software, and everything like that. It's not impossible to learn something like this, but it's kind of interesting to me that this kind of an app was bundled in with the announcement of the Pixel feature drop, because this is not the kind of app that applies to everybody. This is a very niche product.
I have two thoughts about that. The first thought I have is, we talked about this in the pre-show, like, I like they include this in the feature drop, right? Yeah. It's a weird, to your point, niche thing that only, like a subset of the population will get. People like us will play with it and be like, oh, that's weird and that sort of thing. But put weird stuff in. Show us what it can do. I mean, when you said it that it probably is using machine learning. It's Google. Of course it's using machine learning, right? And so it's showing off some fun aspect of it. And I think that's neat. If there's something like this in every feature drop, that's cool. But then secondarily, Jason, to your point, this is the kind of thing where, like, I feel like we go to an event and we see someone DJing with this app.
Yeah, right.
And
that's when you go, oh. Whoa.
Yeah, they're doing their whole thing and they're just tapping their phone and they're doing it. And then like I go home and I try to do it and I cannot replicate it at all. And I respect that. That's really cool. It's like it reminds me when the tablets came out and there were, you had tablet DJs for the first time. And like I like music. I've attempted to DJ over the years, and I downloaded the tablet DJ apps and tried to do it like I saw my friend do it. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And so it shows that it's not the tool so much as the person using the tool,
Yeah.
And so I think that's pretty cool. So I like everything about this. So
No, you're right. It's very aspirational. Like, I mean, like a lot of the apps I've worked on are pretty, I wouldn't say boring, but very practical. Like I've worked on grocery store apps in my life and like, things like of this nature, which are helpful, but not aspirational. And yeah, maybe this is like a way to take kind of all the elements that Google's been working on, from ML to design to other things, and say, hey, like, this is where we can, this is what we can do with like, mobile processing and mobile experiences. It's not just like, other wonderful things that we'll talk about in a little bit that are a little more practical. But yeah, it is like aspirational and actually Jason found, I think you found like a pre-made one that sounds a lot more like someone had time and
well, yeah, the one that ships with it is like is the demo, and I mean it sounds like a it's got like an actual like quality to it that isn't just total randomness.
Yeah.
But it's still
I
like
mean,
this pad. I have no idea what it does. Like
here's the thing. What else is in the Pixel Drop?
Yeah.
Are we talking about any of it?
Well,
no. It was a rhetorical question. I mean, like, of all the things in the Pixel Drop, like, cool, shortcut for COVID vaccine card stored on a device, neat.
Yeah.
The lock screen shows a video feed, cool. Did you see this cool music sequencing app that I mean, like that, like, this got us talking about the feature drop.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So,
no, that's really fair. That's really fair. Especially since, by the way, just to get serious for a second, the vaccine proof thing that you can download locally to your device is not actually shared, is only for certain countries and only for certain healthcare providers, by the way. But, if your healthcare provider, if you're in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Jersey, I just bypassed the fact that I actually uploaded like a song and now I get to like just walk like talk past it. So
like,
y'all don't have to see the song. I'm not playing my song. Sorry, let me start that over. So yes, what are the actual Pixel features in the feature drop, and not a whole like amazing aspirational and absolutely insane music creation, is vaccine proof from your home screen. It's interesting because this is only available in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Jersey, New Zealand, Singapore, Spain, the UK, and the US, and only through supported health services. So basically, if you get either a vaccination or a test through a supporting provider, say, example, Walgreens in the US, you can actually go to that provider's website, presumably, and from your like electronic results, hit save to phone. It will save it to your phone. Now, this is a local copy only, so it's not like it's saved to the cloud. If you had multiple devices for some reason and you wanted your COVID vaccination or test results on multiple devices, you have to do it manually. But there you go, a very practical thing, but way less fun than the Pocket Operator for sure.
Yeah,
but. If you happen to be using like any of the listed providers on the Google support page for the COVID vaccination proof, you can get it on your phone. Other things, like Ron mentioned, At a Glance is getting some new features. If you have a Nest doorbell, you can see the feed right from your lock screen.
I like that. I wish I had
do
that
like
for
that
Ring,
a lot.
yeah.
Ditto. And we have Unify, and I wish I had that as well, just because sometimes someone rings the doorbell and you're just like trying to figure it out.
Like, gotta unlock, gotta jump in there, hit the live feed.
Yeah. So there you have that. If you're a Nest doorbell user, you can. I actually am really excited about the flashlight reminder. So if you have left your flashlight on, At a Glance will show you that it's on and give you a shortcut to turn it off. My husband will really like this because I tend to leave the flashlight on and then talk to him with my phone and turn to him with the flashlight still on. So this is absolutely a feature that I will use. And very soon, also very practical, but very much sad, you will get air quality alerts on At a Glance as well, which, for our friends for us in California and Colorado is probably going to be really important in the summer.
Big time.
So yes, so that will also soon be available on your At a Glance if you are in the US, Australia, and India. Okay, so laundry list, a bunch of other things. To celebrate Pride Month, you're getting a trio of really beautiful, bright, and bold wallpapers made by Jan Bastard, a Spanish-born illustrator who collaborated with Google on those. If you are using the Sound Amplifier app, which is an app that is specifically designed for people with hearing loss to kind of amplify and filter the important sounds around you, there's going to be a conversation mode that uses machine learning to actually, if you're having conversations with someone and you point the camera at them, The sound amplifier will use both the audio information and the visual information that you're giving the app through the camera to basically filter out to kind of focus in on the voice of the person you're talking to, which is pretty awesome.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
That is really awesome. And then real tone filters are now live in Google Photos, and it is using the open source Monk skin tone scale, which was talked about at Google I/O during the keynote.
Yeah, big.
And wow, there are a lot of really practical but slightly, less fun features, because you're also going to get car crash detection in Canada now. This was released previously, I think in beta in the US. But basically, your phone will be able to tell when you've had a serious car crash and automatically call emergency services for you. In the US, of course, it's 911. And I'm sorry, Canadian friends, I have no idea what the equivalent would be, but you're getting that as well on your Pixel. And Live Translate is adding support for a few more languages: traditional Chinese, Dutch, Korean, Thai, and Turkish on your Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. So those are your features.
That's a pretty solid drop, I have to say.
Very solid, very solid.
Some good
like
stuff
practical. And then the absolutely insane, ridiculous, and fun Pocket Operator. I feel like it actually is a good balance, because there's a lot of very practical, super serious kind of things that you need. And then here, for the lulls and for the joy of life, here's your Pocket Operator. So,
yes.
And then along with the feature update, you also are going to get your June security patch and bug fixes. And just in general, this is going to be the release of QPR3, the quarterly Pixel release? Is that, I can't remember what acronyms. I've had a long day.
Quarterly
Pixel release 3 has been released along with the security patches and feature drops. And that brings the Android 12 beta program officially to an end. Now with Android 13 on deck, after you get your June update, you can either manually opt out of the beta program without having to data wipe your phone, or you can wait to be automatically unenrolled in the following weeks. So yeah, you will need to opt out of the Android 12 beta before the Android 13 beta hits. And it seems that the Android 13 beta will kind of mirror this year's and run until next year, June 2023.
Right. So about this time next year.
Yeah, so about next time's here. So what a bang to end the Android 12 beta program with. You got QPR3, you've got your security and bug fixes, and you've got a whole bunch of both useful and fun features for your June 2022. So there you go.
I've already seen people on articles written about that teenage engineering app talking about why only for Pixels? This should be for all phones. And
there it is.
Yeah,
there's the value add for the Pixel drop, for the feature drop, right?
Yeah,
this is smart. This is a smart move.
Yeah.
Now next feature drop, do some sort of like video editing thing, or do something like that. Like you do a type of app that caters to a niche audience. I mean, you want to show why you need to buy a Pixel? There you go. So,
that's good. All right.
So some cool news followed by some downer news. We talked on the show recently about how RCS spam in India has gotten out of hand. And now actually Google is disabling RCS ads in the country. And Google said, quote, "We are aware that some businesses are abusing our anti-spam policies to send promotional members to users in India. We're disabling this feature in India while we work with the industry to improve the experience for users." And if you're wondering how are they sending ads via RCS, they're actually sent via RCS's business messaging feature, where verified businesses can send media-rich messages to customers, which, believe it or not, if you like it or not, SMS marketing is a huge industry in this country as well as I got to imagine worldwide. I mean, there's a bunch of, vendors, like Ben Sherman, a clothes company. Like I signed up for text message from them. They're sending me media-rich things. So this is a legitimate function when used correctly and not abused.
And not abused,
Yeah, exactly. And India is Google's biggest market by number of users. And then with all of the efforts around RCS, this is a bit of a setback because it's just a strike against it, where people can be like, oh well, RCS is bad because it can be spam. It can be used to send spam and all this sort of stuff. I think they're gonna get it under control and figure it out. It's Google. It's early in RCS's life. I'm not that spooked by it, but this is the kind of thing where clickbait headlines will happen and chew it up.
Sure. So, absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, I'm not super familiar with it, but Apple and iMessages also has kind of a business messaging feature. And to my knowledge, they don't suffer from, these kind of these types of manipulative ad processes or whatever approaches. So there are ways around it. There are ways to make sure it doesn't happen. Just seems like Google hasn't figured that out yet, and they need to, because, yeah, I guess, and just to be clear, like, people who are receiving these, from my understanding, it's not like they're just getting like something from a bank that they went to, a message that as kind of like a follow-up. They were getting like, online casino gambling and, total spammy stuff suddenly coming
Not
in
good.
as verified businesses. And that's the real problem. Yeah. It's kind of like, if I'm opting into something, that's one thing. But if suddenly my phone is just getting inundated with all this, really kind of loud and dominant kind of media around things like online gambling and stuff, that's a whole other level. So
yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully they figure that out. This is interesting to me. USB-C in the EU apparently going to be required as of 2024, fall 2024. The EU lawmakers actually reached an agreement on legislation to force smartphones sold in the country to use the USB-C port. Also other electronic devices. So it's not isolated to just smartphones. It's tablets, digital cameras, handheld video game consoles, e-readers, headphones, the whole 9 yards. USB-C port is the way. Somewhere down the line that would extend to laptops, apparently. And, meant to reduce e-waste, of course, meant to make things easier for consumers, which it would achieve both of those things. I'm curious to know how you all feel about kind of regulating and saying the technology that you have to use in your smartphone or tablet or whatever the piece of gear that you're using has to be this particular plug. Is there a time somewhere in the future or near future where a better plug actually exists, but they can't use it because it's been regulated?
I got to imagine that they have provisions for that, right? You got to be able to future-proof something like this. And I'm not an EU lawyer by any case, but I got to imagine it's less about USB-C and more about the U, right? So like if USB-D comes along, they're going to adjust to adapt it for USB-D to make it mandatory as long as it's universal. As long as it is not proprietary and limiting. I don't know that for sure. We can look at the text, but yeah, that's a great point, Jason. It would be awfully silly if we're here in 3 years talking about how great USB-D is and the EU can't use it. That'd be silly.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, Scooter X, points out in the chat, USB-C, 5 years old at this point. Wow. This begins in 2 years, right? So that's 7 years in.
Jeez.
And we know how technology works. Like, there is an evolution.
But to play devil's advocate, USB-C is pretty good. I mean, how much better are they going to get over USB-C? I mean, it's great. Pretty solid, right?
But we don't know. We don't know what we don't know, right? The truth is, like that's the now view. And there might be something somewhere down the line. It's not like technology reaches that pinnacle point. It's like, USB-C is as good as it could ever get. So we're going to stick with this forever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it April Fool's? Oh, no, it's an April Fool's. Okay, sorry. I just Googled USB Type D, and then it's like it was April Fool's.
Good catch. Good catch.
Whew.
Yeah.
That was close. So.
And obviously, this really, I see a lot of Apple sites writing about this because arguably this is a much bigger deal for Apple than it is for Android. Android smartphone manufacturers have almost entirely switched over to USB-C. So it's, it's not really changing the world on the Android front, but Apple would have to conform to that, and that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep. I also found a Quora question where someone asked if there will be a USB-D successor to USB-C, and someone answered with the April Fool's joke, and all the answers are pointing out that the answer is an April Fool's joke, which is very funny.
Well, you got your answer.
Yep.
All right, let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we will get into some hardware, which, once again, it's kind of a hardware light time of year. So we've got unreleased hardware to talk about. That's coming up next. But first, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by Trade. coffee. Do you like coffee? You're going to love Trade coffee. I happen to love coffee. I also happen to be really into decaf coffee, and I know that's a mocking point for a lot of coffee drinkers, but I've gotten used to decaf. So at this point, like, I literally could not tell you the difference in flavor between regular and decaf. I've been drinking it so long. And I find the problem ends up being I go into a store and there's far less decaf options than there are caffeinated options, because everybody loves their caffeinated coffee. And I find Trade coffee at drinktrade.com/AAA to be just a really great solution for that, because they've got tons of decaf and they're sourced from all over. We actually just got Tumor decaf. It's a medium roast from San Diego. It has some yummy, chocolate notes. We grind it. We have a Barista Plus that we got not too long ago, so we can make espresso drinks. And now we grind it for that, and I drink it as an Americano. And it's just, I love the variety from Trade. It's, in my opinion, it's the best part. Trade's coffee team actually taste tests thousands of coffees to keep 450 different kinds live and ready to ship every day. There may not be one perfect coffee for everyone, right? But there is a perfect coffee for you, and Trade's human-powered algorithm is going to find it. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, right? The roasters themselves, they want broader access to people to sell to. And Trade Coffee sends freshly roasted beans from 60 of the country's best craft roasters. So it's giving these small businesses a chance to reach a larger audience. It also, they're paying farmers fair prices. They're sustainably sourcing the greatest beans from around the world, so it's good for the world as well. What we like and what you like, what all of us like, completely different. No one, a large group of people, they're not all going to agree on what makes the best cup of coffee for everyone, right? So you're going to like the selection of specific coffees that they have, and your selection is going to be different from anyone else. And to kind of address that, Trade Coffee has a quiz that you take. You just answer a couple of questions, and you're going to get your own personalized variety of coffees delivered fresh, based on your answers, right? It kind of like narrows in on the quality of coffee that you like. What are the flavor notes, the flavor profile? Do you prefer ground, or do you prefer whole bean? All of these questions to really dial in and navigate their vast selection of coffees so that they can find one that's just right for you. No gimmicks. Trade delivers a bag of freshly roasted coffee. And like I said, as whole beans. You can get it ground for however you brew it at home. We get it whole beans, and then we grind it ourselves, depending on the type of coffee that we want to make at the time. And they actually guarantee you're going to love your first order, or get this, they'll replace it for free. Trade has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee with more than 750,000 positive reviews. And right now, Trade is actually offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/AAA. That right there, that's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Not bad. Get started by taking their quiz. You can find that at drinktrade.com/AAA. Let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/AAA for that $30 off. And also, don't forget about Father's Day. That's coming up. A Trade subscription. It's a great gift for the coffee lover in your life. And we thank Trade Coffee for their support of this show. All right. It is time for some hardware news. Let's get to it. Hardware that you can't have yet. You can't get it.
That's the best kind of hardware that there is. And I love that we have another story here, because I just still find this whole story just completely baffling and possibly not true. Was it last week, Jason, that we talked about it? It was last week.
Yeah, last week we talked about one instance of this happening.
So last week, on last week's show, we talked about how seemingly the Pixel 7 Pro prototype showed up on eBay, which we debated the validity of and whether or not it was actually BS or not, or legit or real. And now here we are a week later, and yet another Pixel 7 Pro prototype has appeared online in Reddit. This is like a crazy wall of connecting social media websites. So it appeared on Reddit because someone claims they bought it off of Facebook Marketplace. It was listed there as a Pixel 6 Pro without a box, and they were able to use the phone for 3 weeks. The phone had been running fine up until a few days before articles were written about it, and Google had remote wiped it. So I don't know. Like here's the thing. If you're gonna say that that it was purchased online on Facebook Marketplace and you're gonna claim that you got a prototype and stuff like that, fine, I can believe that. But then you're gonna tell me that it stopped working after articles about the eBay one popped up online and Google remote wiped the device?
Yeah.
That's a little far-fetched for me. What do you guys think? Do you think it's legit?
I don't know. The more I think about this, the more I'm like, why? Like, I understand, and I know I've probably sat on both sides of this debate, and the debate being, does Google or do companies do this purposefully? I'm sure some of them do. But I don't understand why a company would do this on a device that is months out, and the photos, I mean, it's not like the photos are very flattering. Like, I don't know. If you're a company and you've created this thing and you're really proud of it, are you really going to seed out really crappy looking photos of this device and let those be the hero images for months on end? Like,
right.
I mean, I guess it's playing the game potentially, but I don't know. I kind of believe that this happens. I don't know, but I don't understand how. I really just don't understand how something like this does happen.
I mean, is the manufacturer or fabricator, whatever, the prototypes really just like
we'll take
are
5
those
of these.
prototypes not under lock and key?
Yeah,
and control?
totally.
They're
Like,
just, I
don't get it.
And accounted for by serial number, and you're going to tell me that Google has the technology to identify a Pixel 7 somewhere on the network and reach in and remote wipe it? Well, like, that doesn't bother anybody? Like, can they do that to any of our phones?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I can understand why they would be able to do that with a prototype, though.
Prototype,
you know what I
maybe.
mean? Like,
Maybe.
the prototype.
I just find this all very fishy.
What do you think, Quinn?
I don't know what to think. I mean, I understand that the manufacturing is quite removed from Google itself. This just feels so. It's just so weird. I don't know. When I try to, like, actually I was listening last week and I was actually thinking, how does this happen?
Yeah.
And the only thing I could come up with is some kind of Fast and Furious style, like, heist where they like jump out of a plane and like jump on the person carrying the prototype from like building A to building B.
Yeah,
at, like,
I mean,
the prototype research.
Occam's razor would state that you're probably right. That's the simplest thing that could possibly happen. Yeah.
And I don't know what people get out of this. Like, I understand that, all the leaks and everything that happen. I think we always have, I think, like, especially in this space, there's always a lot of great buzz and discussion about the devices. And I can't help to think that even just, what's that phrase about there's no such thing as bad publicity? I don't really think that's true, but I do think that people talking about your stuff right before it comes out does keep it in the consumer awareness.
For sure.
But as you were saying, this is months out. This is not actually it's not like flattering. It's not like someone found it at a restaurant and, like, relatively speaking, that's kind of a funny, interesting story. This is like, somehow I got on the, it's
kind of embarrassing is what it is.
It
for
is.
a company
If anything,
of Google's
it's been
size,
Mm-hmm.
for this
It's
to happen
embarrassing.
with a product that
Yeah.
is literally like 6 months away. It's embarrassing. It's like, okay, well, Google really doesn't know what they're doing if they can't control these devices. To that end, I really don't think that Google would do this on purpose, but I just don't understand how it happens. Yeah. I mean,
They just want to be relatable. They're like, hey, we make mistakes too. I don't know.
right. Yeah. Google's human too. Google's human. It's okay. Just like you and me.
Yeah.
So, well,
I
there we
think
go.
I think this is just bizarre. So
It is. It really is. And
I mean, do you think there's a monetary? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go.
Do you think there's a monetary incentive for someone to leak this? Like, do you think someone is just saying, hey, this makes good content, so if someone can steal a thing and we can make an article out of it, or like, just independent of Google. I don't know. Like, is that a thing? I can't think of why this would happen.
Sadly, it is a thing. After the first article about the eBay one popping up, like there's motivation there. But then again, I don't know what the motivation is. It's just bizarre. It's just the whole thing's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I actually read a. God, I'm trying to find it right now, but I don't know if my Google will allow me to. But I read a post on Reddit, which was like a PSA around like if you happen to come across something like this, here are the things that you do and do not do, because if you don't do these things, then Google can identify you and do things like wipe the device before it can get to, a journalist that can, proliferate that information and everything like that. And a lot of the criticism, and actually the author of this post was, this is Tech Today. Shoot, why am I blanking? He's been a guest on this show before. It was a couple of years ago. Why am I'm looking. I apologize. Was it Brandon Lee? There we go. Brandon Lee from episode 493. Anyways, he was the author of this Reddit post because he's posted a lot of leaks here and there, and so he posted basically saying like, look, if you end up getting these phones and then you go onto a social media site with your handle that's easily identifiable to you, do all these things, it's going to make it easier for a company like Google to know exactly who has it. Potentially they come after you, or they show up at your door to get the prototype back, or they know kind of roughly where the location is, and then they can kind of triangulate and know, okay, well, where was the source of it? If these are appearing here, then the source might be over here, and they can like target all of those prototypes and remote wipe them, and so then you're out of luck. And some of the criticisms in the Reddit post were like, and one of his points also was like, and whatever you do, don't sell this, because then you're potentially breaking a lot of rules and potentially the law, and Google can come after you. But a lot of people took him to task in the comments, saying, well, wait a minute, what you're saying is, don't be motivated by money if you come across one of these things and sell it. Give it to someone like me so that I can put it out on my video channel and I can profit off of it. Yeah. And I don't know that was necessarily Brandon. Like, I don't know. I haven't talked to Brandon in quite a long time, but I don't know that was necessarily his intention. But it is kind of a double standard there to say that, and like I don't know how that works in the rules of all things. I mean, a journalist is a journalist, and so they're given a lot of leniency as far as like reporting on a prototype if they get their hands on a prototype, I guess. But I don't know, kind of tied in with what you were saying.
What a strange journey this was. Yeah.
Well, it's not over. The journey is not over, because this is not the only phone to appear online that isn't released yet and appear online for sale. The Pixel 6a, we know about that. That was announced a couple of weeks ago, Google I/O as well. Though the release date for that, the official release date, is July 21st. And surprise, surprise, multiple models of the 6A were appearing on the Facebook Marketplace as well as eBay, selling in those places for around $524. Just kind of further illustrating that Google is really bad at like preventing this. Now, I will give this one credit. These photos are actually pretty decent compared to a lot of photos that end up being done. They're all like framed and everything.
Yeah,
so
they definitely pass that kind of check for sure.
Yeah, totally.
This looks legit. This definitely looks legit.
Yeah. But it's all smudged and stuff, and I don't know, whatever. Yeah. I'm sure the planned, pretend release happens. Like I have to imagine it's happened before. I don't know if it's every single time it happened, that we see a leaked device end up on a marketplace that it's happened. But yeah.
Is this like the movie Nightcrawler? I've actually not. Is that a spoiler? Is that something like Nightcrawler where he's like an investigative reporter and trying to find bigger stories? So kind of like
trying to remember.
Creates his own news.
Is that starring Jake Gyllenhaal? Jake Gyllenhaal of Ambulance fame. Burke's favorite movie.
Oh, he is. That's right. Yeah, everything's coming together.
So just so everybody listening at home, Burke has a new favorite movie. It's the movie Ambulance with Jake Gyllenhaal.
He loves that movie.
But directed by Michael Bay. So if you don't have time to listen to This Week in Burke,
he's a big fan of Michael Bay.
I mean, really, the latest episode of This Week in Burke where Burke talks about Michael Bay for 2 hours was a great listen. Go subscribe to it. So
there we go. Okay, bravo.
I got Burke. I got him.
Bravo.
You got him. All
Very
we can do
nice.
is applaud. All right.
Here.
It's okay, Burke.
All right.
Calm down. All right, Wayne, you've got the next one.
So in other news for other Google devices, an FCC filing has just been filed on June 5th for a, quote, wireless device with a description resembling that of the Chromecast voice remote, Nest Audio, Google Clips. And 9 to 5 Google speculates by looking at, say, some other information included, with the filing, like a test configuration description, that this might be an HD Chromecast with Google TV. So without going into a lot of technical detail, it just really looks like from this test configuration that this device, which has a wireless LAN, Bluetooth link and controller link, 1080p and 60 hertz video streaming, a USB cable and a remote controller, just really, really, really seems to look something like a Chromecast with Google TV, but at HD. The current version on sale right now, which, by the way, had expanded to 8 different countries in the EU for sales. It supports up to 4K HDR and is available for $39.99 USD, down from $49.99. So it's possible that, if you are a fan of Chromecast but only need HD and want something even cheaper, this might be coming to you sooner rather than later based on kind of speculations on this FCC filing. So, I actually didn't know or wasn't as aware of the Chromecast with Google TV when I was prepping for this show, and I told my husband about it and he bought one. So, because we have Google TV, all the things. So I don't know. Would you all be interested in a HD version of the Chromecast?
I'm
Google
curious
TV?
to know what the price of this would be because the 4K one is not that expensive.
No, it's already pretty cheap. Yeah. So what, like a $29?
Yeah, 25 or 29. Yeah,
25?
probably. You're probably right. 29, something like that. I mean, you can get the 4K version right now. Well, I don't know about this moment, but it's been on sale for $40. I think normally it's around 50. So, yeah, pretty inexpensive if you're going for just the HD version. I have to imagine it's probably something like $30. And yeah, with a remote, that's a pretty nice deal, I think, depending on the TV you're putting it on.
So
this could be fun for traveling too.
Yeah, totally good for traveling. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Google TV, I ran into an interesting problem with my Chromecast with Google TV yesterday, where I believe they were trying to update the remote software, like it was doing a auto update to the remote control while I was using it, and I also dropped the remote control and stepped on it and it
and lit it on fire and threw it out the window, and
it either unpaired when it was updating the remote firmware, or when I dropped it and stepped on it, I did some sort of key combination that put it into talkback accessibility mode.
Oh no.
So what I had to do was, and the remote was bricked. Like I had a solid white LED light at the bottom of it. No buttons did anything. And I had a green box around items on the screen. And I couldn't use the device. And finally I remembered that they rolled out remote remote control on your phone via the Google Home app. And so I went into the Google Chromecast, Google TV on the Home app, and sure enough, there was open remote, and I was able to navigate to the settings and repair the remote, and then run the software update for the remote, and then repair it again and get it all working again. So it was it was quite the adventure.
Yeah,
I had with my Google TV for an hour.
Wow.
With screaming 3-year-olds asking for their YouTube video while I'm like,
I just want my
the Google
video.
TV, the Google TV is like movies, television for you. It's like just saying everything on the screen because it's in accessibility mode. It was,
my goodness,
man, it was brutal.
That is like my worst fear with some of these bundled remotes and things like this now. Like if it breaks or if it you just if it chips, I mean, like I assume there's probably some easy method for repairing it. I had this flash of like pairing like my parents' old like all device IR remote control.
Oh my goodness!
Like you look up your like manufacturer and you hit a certain combination or of numbers on your board, and I feel like it doesn't have to be that hard, or maybe it's easier. Like I was really hoping there was a remote reset for the remote that you would say, but that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I'm always like deathly afraid of losing like like my remotes that come with my like high end device. It's just
it really made me realize like without that remote, that device is done. Like there's nothing to do with it. Like thank God they put that Google Home thing in, or I wouldn't have been able to do it. So right.
Well, it would cost you another $50, which is nice.
Just not worth
or $30 if you wanted to downgrade to HD. Apparently, that's our guess. Anyways, we don't know that for sure. All right, coming up next, we've got some app news to talk about. That's up next. All right, Google's taking the chocolate, that's Duo, and the peanut butter, that's Meet, and putting them together. Google's doing the thing where it's like, we got these two things, and we want them to be the same thing. And they're doing it with Duo and Meet. The combined platform will be called Google Meet.
What?
Which we already know what Google Meet is. As we know, Duo is kind of like the social video kind of platform, calling app, that sort of thing. Meet has been more for like professional groups and conference calling, that sort of stuff. Now it'll be consolidated, but it's still kind of confusing because Google Meet's features will be added to Duo, right? This is like first step. And then later in the year, the Duo app will be automatically updated and renamed to Google Meet. with everything combined. So it's like you got your Meet over here, and then all those features are going into Duo. When that happens, the old app, the app that is Google Meet now, will turn into something called Meet Original. And so then you're using Duo. Yeah, then you're using Duo with Meet features. And then at some point, they're going to phase out Meet Original, and Duo will get an update, and it'll turn into Google Meet again. So Google just loves to make these things just kind of a little confusing. I'm sure they have their reasons, but I feel like we've seen this a few times before.
Someone on Twitter, Adam J on Twitter, flagged someone else's post for me on Twitter, a guy by the name of Dare Obanzanjo, who said Google has a meta problem it couldn't solve by creating yet another messaging app.
That's true. Yeah. So I don't know. This kind of reminds me of the wallet, the Google Wallet, Google Pay, GPay, back and forth, ping pong match, where it's like, okay, now it's over here, but it's got the name of the thing that it came from, but that only happened eventually. It also reminds me of the story that we're about to talk about after this. But do you think it's a good move to consolidate Meet and Duo? They do serve different purposes, but they kind of revolve around the same thing, the video streaming technology. So what do you think?
I kind of hate this, honestly. Like and for that reason, so I say that because like I know at first with Duo, I think whenever it was announced at Google I/O, it was kind of like, oh good, yet another video thing. But I think as I get older and crankier in my developer years, I kind of feel like things that have different demographics and different use cases are best served by being separate apps. Like everything all in the same pot, I feel like generally tends to water things down, jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing. And I think in certain situations it makes sense. Like I've actually kind of really gotten into Duo a lot, especially like now my sister had her first kid and we live far away. To use Duo to like talk to her and my little niece, and a lot of the features that are kind of really delightful about Duo, like the pre-call, like like video, and just some of like the features which are more actually on the level like Snapchat. Like there's tons of filters and cute little things and messages you can send back and forth. They are very geared towards like one-on-one conversations, and kind of more in-depth. Silly often, but kind of in-depth conversation. And then I was actually on Google Meet for like 5 hours today, and I can't imagine the same app serving both these purposes, because Google Meet, it is good for certain things. Like it's good for large discussions. It's got like things like the hand raising gesture and like the separate chat. It's very much like a Zoom thing, and I don't know. I just don't like it. Like as a developer and as a user, when you try to cram everything into the same app, something is not going to work. There's just too many features. Like, how do you surface things that will work for your specific user and their specific use case? I mean, it can be done, but this doesn't feel like it. This feels like, hey, let's just have less things to name. Let's have new Meet and Meet Classic, and then y'all figure it out later. And I don't really like it, but I'm also a little biased because I've really liked using Duo for the purposes that I think it was intended for. So
Meet is the business in front. Duo is the party in back.
Oh man!
Right?
Oh my God! Just call it mullet,
Jason.
Meatlet. Mullies.
Meatlet.
Doesn't even sound. That's like the butchery app. Never mind.
But,
oh gosh.
But in all seriousness, that's kind of what you're describing, right? Like Duo.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
Duo has kind of like a playfulness to it, and has features that are really great for person to person. That's what it was designed to be. And then Meet is really designed for kind of like that business thing. And they are two very different things. Even though they're at their core, it's still video calling. And that's kind of their point is, well, they're two video calling apps. Why can't they be the same thing? But I'll be really curious to see how they retain the playfulness of Duo while also retaining the seriousness of Meet in the same app environment without crossing the streams. Or maybe they cross the streams. I don't know. But how is that going to look? I'm not sure.
Can't cross the streams, Jason. You know that.
I know. They say don't.
I don't have to tell you twice.
But some rules were meant to be broken, Ron. So, yes, the Google mullet. That's what they should have called it, the Google mullet.
Oh,
I like that.
That's not good. That's not good. Imagine what that app icon looks like for the Google mullet.
Oh,
right?
I can imagine. I can see it right now. I like it. I like it in an ironic sort of way. There we go.
I don't really like it.
Yeah. Got to put that asterisk in there. All right, Ron, you got the last one.
I do have the last one. And so everybody just loves...
Oh, wait. No, sorry. Did I?
Oh, sorry.
No, we skipped one. Wait a minute.
Win, you have the next one, not the last one.
I have the next one,
Sorry.
not the last one.
I apologize.
All right. So
I got thrown off by the mullet.
I know. We got two party in the front. We got to get to the business. Wait, is it
Party in the back.
Business in the front. Party in the
you
back.
could do a reverse mullet. Have we ever seen? God. Yeah, that's like a flock of seagulls haircut. So.
Which, by the way,
it is,
a fantastic
isn't it?
band, and you should listen.
Let's not go there.
If you listen to First Wave on Sirius XM, they play Flock of Seagulls all the time, and it's so good.
Excellent.
All right, Win, you got it.
Okay, so over the last week, if you're still using Android Auto on your phone, you may have seen the following message front and center in the app. Android Auto for phone screens will stop working soon. So not a surprise. It's like so ominous.
Yeah.
Just like, by the way,
hitting it right on the nose, like no subtlety whatsoever, right?
No, front and center. And also every single time you open the app, like if you swipe it away to dismiss, you'll see it the next time you open the app. So they really want to make sure that this is happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not a surprise, right? Because if you're on 12 and above, or I guess it's just 12 right now. We haven't quite got to 13 yet. But if you're on 12, you know that you can't even get Android Auto for the phone. And if you even manage to install it, it won't launch. I've tried so hard. And of course, on older versions, if you were lucky enough to still be on an older version, you had a stay of execution until now. There's not really a date that we know of the impending doom of Android Auto. Why did I write Android Audio in my notes? Android Auto for phone screens. But I mean, it basically Google just noted in a statement that current users of Android Auto on phone screens will be, quote, transitioned to Google Assistant driving mode, which is our next evolution of mobile driving experience. How is that for a euphemism, transitioned? The last refuge of Android Auto will be in any new vehicles you happen to purchase with it equipped. But other than that intensely expensive and probably very impractical for most of us option, you're going to be using Google Assistant driving mode, which arrived in Android 12, and where Google is driving us all eventually. So enjoy Android Auto on your phone screen while you can, because it won't be there for very much longer. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, replaced with that Google Assistant driving mode. Have no fear. At least we have that.
Yep.
It's just not the same. It's not the same, man.
I haven't tried it. Has anyone tried it? Do y'all like it? I mean, I as I understand this, you can probably accomplish the same things, but I like my Android Auto.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something to be said for the Android Auto specific, isolated experience that is designed to do this thing. It's just they're just so different, and I feel like it's not an apples to apples comparison between the two. It's a step down. It's feature less. It's less features all across. So I'm not a fan, but I don't know.
Is it like Duo and
I don't know why
Messages?
Google thinks that it's a good replacement for it. Like Duo, like what?
Is it like Duo and Messages? They're just like kind of the same, but not.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, the most that I've used this mode is kind of like that integration in Maps, and it's fine, I guess. But it's just, I feel like I never, at least with Android Auto, like if I was playing music, like I had all the controls. The controls were there. With any of my experience using Google Assistant driving mode, it just feels less. It just feels like simplified instead of, and I understand like the why is, because you're driving, we don't want to give you too many options and that's distracting and everything. But I think that there is a way to give those options and have it not be distracting. We have tablets twice the size of this computer in, modern day cars and with touch points all over it. And, whether you like them or hate them, I mean, plenty of people are driving around with those things and interacting with them and apparently being relatively safe. So why can't that be done on a smaller screen in a better way than what they're giving? I don't know. That's kind of my random thoughts about it anyways.
It's fair.
It's kind of weird. It's like we complain about Google kind of having a lot of different slightly overlapping products that sometimes are confusing.
Yeah.
Like they try a lot of different things, like a lot of overlapping areas, and we kind of get confused on what we should be using. And it's like now maybe they're trying to consolidate, but it's a little too much. It's like the big crunch. Sometimes. Everything is just hurtling towards one kind of like point mass, and at some point maybe it'll explode. But I don't know. Right. I liked Android Auto, and especially for like a driving experience, which I mean, of course, is like I think Scooter X said it on in chat. Like I also like the Android Auto on the phone screen as well. It's just very flexible, and also I just like Android Auto, just period. I think it's a good experience, and I really enjoyed using it. So I'm sad, and I guess I'll have to try Google assisted driving mode, and then give an actual opinion. But I don't know.
Yeah,
this just feels like one of those taken away our toys.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar to the whole Meet and Duo thing, right? It's like, oh, we had this thing, now we're doing this thing, and this is like the other side of it. It's like in this case, we're at the end of that transition, and the Meet and Duo we're at the beginning of the transition. And if this end is a signal of what to expect in the Meet Duo end, I don't know that I like that so much because I don't like where it's landed here. Duo.
Oh, man. All right. Well, it wouldn't round out an app section without talking about weather app. All of a sudden, Jason, it's like it's 2013 here all of a sudden.
Yep.
So the screams, you might have heard millions of Android users screaming, and this is all in their desire to want dark sky back on Android. Those screams are somewhat being answered by Apple. Apple announced during its WWDC keynote yesterday that its WeatherKit will replace the Dark Sky API, which was deprecated for Android in 2020. WeatherKit will enable developers to tap into the same Dark Sky backend on Android apps. Location info will not be personally identifiable, according to Apple, and WeatherKit beta includes 500,000 API calls per month per Apple Developer Program membership, 1 million calls per month for $49.99, all the way up to 20 million calls per month for $999.99. And it really begs the question as to whether or not Android developers have moved on from Dark Sky or not after 2 years, or will they come flocking back and give Apple their money to access the API and make more weather apps? Do we need more weather apps?
I don't know. I kind of feel like haven't people moved on at this point? I don't, who is it? Phoenix Warp in chat says, is Dark Sky seriously that good? What's so great about this app? I feel like I'm missing something here. And people were just like loved their Dark Sky, app and were really upset about it. I didn't really use it a whole lot. I mean, I think the crux of it was the hyper local weather aspect and that it just did that really well, and then Apple scooped it up, and maybe that's what it is. It's that it was really immortalized, right? When Apple scooped it up and took it away from Android, then it's like, oh well, we gotta have it if we can't because Apple took it. So maybe that's part of it too. But here's an entrance back in. I don't know that it really answers a call that I've got. But what do you think, Gwen?
I can't speak to Dark Sky. That kind of like bypassed me a little bit in terms of like liking Dark Sky. I think it's interesting. I kind of think of it as like from an API side. So like I don't necessarily. I mean, paying for APIs in general is important, and I think that something that might be important to some people is parity of data. Like I usually talk about feature parity when it comes to like Android versus iOS apps, but I think having the same API to work with that works across both your apps is probably important. I guess it sort of matters. It sort of doesn't matter. I think it might be, well, okay. It probably is easier for a product that has an Android version and iOS version to just use the same API. And if you decide that WeatherKit is, worth it, then if you're building two apps, then sure, why not? I don't see why someone who's just writing an Android weather app would need to do this, really. But I do think it's important for companies that do have both apps to be consistent. And I mean, I wonder if you pay... I wonder if you already have a developer account where you have an app that's already using it, that it would make sense that you could just use that same membership for you to drive your Android app. I presume so, because it's probably on the same key. So, I mean, if I was running a weather app and my iOS devs were determined to use WeatherKit, I'd be like, yeah, sure, we'll use it for Android. But other than that, I just don't. I'm sorry, the hype passed me, so I'm not a good person to ask.
Same.
Yep, same.
Right. But somebody out there is.
But hey, listen, if you love it, you love it, and now maybe you can get it. Go do something.
Totally.
With it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go. AAA@twit.tv. Let us know why you love it so much. Why do you love it so much?
Please do.
Speaking of AAA@twit.tv, we've got your feedback coming up in a second. All right.
It's a great week for feedback, everybody. We put out the call, and you guys
answered.
You answered it, which is great, which is fantastic.
This is a themed feedback section because we put out the call for Bixby. Want to know what is it about Bixby, and how many are there of you out there who did I say that right? Who love Bixby, and we did hear from a decent amount of you.
Is this first email the one I forwarded to you?
Yes, it is. Would you like to read it?
So while this first email, I'm going to intro you, Jason.
Oh, okay.
While this first email isn't the
email. Oh, he was like, that's later, man.
Thank you. So this is not the email of the week. I do want to give him credit because on last week's show, I put out the call pretty passionately for you all to let us know about Bixby. And this next emailer really wanted to track me down, so much so that he sent in a support ticket to my company's website. Saying I'm trying to get in touch with Ron.
It's pretty funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I woke up the next morning to one of my partners going, "Hey, there's a Zendesk ticket for you that's not about work." But yeah, so good job on this first emailer for being a detective and figuring out how to get in touch with me.
And not getting the email of the week.
Even though we often say AAA@twit.tv on the show.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
we appreciate the lengths that you were willing to go. Who are we talking about? This is Emery Walton, who wrote in to say, I wanted to comment about Bixby, which you asked about in a recent episode of All About Android. I just installed Google Assistant on my watch as I have been using it. I have been used to using it on my Android phones, but since it was not available when I bought my Galaxy Watch, I gave Bixby a shot. And I don't think that it is trash at all. I left it on my watch as well. Bixby has some capsules that are very useful. Capsules are kind of like things that you can insert into the app to extend its use in different ways. In particular, it has a capsule called My Brain. That is great. And he included a link to a video. Only the first 15 seconds of the video actually show My Brain. If you want to play it, you can, Burke. You don't need to. It continues to say, one difference between Google Assistant and Bixby on the Galaxy Watch is that you must keep a watch button depressed when using Bixby, where that isn't the case with Google Assistant. Though I think that difference can be circumvented. Anyway, you might change your opinion of Bixby when you see that video. I will be interested in hearing your opinion after seeing that video. And I mean, yeah, so this whole video, like it starts with My Brain, but it shows off a lot of different uses like extensions and what they call capsules for Bixby. And yeah, I think that's great. There's a marketplace for that. There's a way for developers to extend, and of course they're going to do that. And yeah, I think I'm all about it. I'm all about this being supported by people who are passionate about Bixby. That's great that you have that option. And yeah, it's a well done video. It actually has a lot of detail in there. So how do I mention this so that folks can find it? Because I don't know that we'll have it linked. But it is, if you go to YouTube and look for Techisode TV, has a video called Galaxy Watch 4. This is why Bixby is amazing. Advanced Bixby features. Go look for it. All right. Thank you, Emery. Appreciate it. When you have the next one.
Yeah, well, neither do I have the email of the week. But I actually really love this. This is from Tang in Greensboro, North Carolina. I've been hearing a lot about Bixby in the past 2 episodes and wanted to chime in since I'm a longtime Samsung Galaxy user. I'm not sure if this counts, but I use Bixby routines on my Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's similar to Tasker and If This Then That, IFTTT, but I find that it's easier to use. I have routines set up, such as protecting the battery at night, which turns off all types of fast charging and limits the battery charge to 85%, but turns off shortly before I wake up so that it tops at 100% off. So it tops off at 100% before I unplug. I also have other simple automations for certain circumstances. It's not the Bixby voice assistant, but still a very useful app utilizing a form of Bixby. And honestly, I really love this. I used to use If This Then That for, like you can use like simple triggers. Like if you get an email, you can send it somewhere else. If you get a text, you can like do certain things. And I had no idea that Bixby or a Bixby adjacent product had this. So I'm going to freaking try this on my S22. And we also have some great screenshots basically showing you how, you would set up a routine. And yeah, it's just like Tasker and If This Then That. So yeah, if a trigger, then do something else, which is pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, I legit love this. Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things, like I feel like sometimes automation feels like a super user, pro user kind of thing, but this makes it very accessible and it's built in right to Bixby.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah. Because you remember when automation was limited to Tasker? And it was basically its own language that was so confusing and confounding, yet you knew how powerful it was. I knew how powerful it was, so I wanted to dive in there and figure it out. And I never truly figured it out, but I could figure my way through it. And then over time, If This Then That, and of course this and everything, they finally kind of got to that point where I was like, how can we do this in a way that really makes it pretty simple to program these routines? And yeah, this looks pretty easy to use. So good suggestion. Love it.
All right. So we're going to have to change the name of the show from All About Android to All About Bixby, I think, everybody. I'm just saying.
Someday,
it looks like
maybe.
We've got an untapped marketplace in terms of Bixby.
It'll be a sister show.
Yeah, but I love the fact that the Bixby discussion not only yielded the entire email block for this episode, but we have not 1 but 2 emails of the week. because if you remember last week, in my passion plea to have Bixby users let us know about using Bixby and if we should care about Bixby, if it's any good, I also said if you knew Bill Bixby to please write in. And we got 2 responses. First up is Adam in San Diego, who has email of the week number 1, which says, since you asked, Ron, I met Bill Bixby once in LA in 1990 at a grocery store shopping for apples. I told him to, quote, only buy the green ones because they bruise less easily. He didn't laugh.
He didn't laugh.
Adam,
Why not? Come on.
I got to tell you, if I was Bill Bixby, I would not have laughed at that joke either. There are 19 better jokes you could have said to Bill Bixby in a grocery store other than because they bruise less easily.
Like what? Like what?
Like, don't buy the green ones. You wouldn't want to get them angry. You won't like them when they're angry. Like, come on, that writes itself. The green, you know. Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Anyway, so all right. Well, Adam, that's awesome. I love the fact that you met Bill Bixby. But then we hear from Will in sunny Tigard, Oregon, who has email of the week number 2 or duo. And Will says, I never met Bill Bixby, but my grandmother's maiden name was Bixby, and she was his cousin.
Wow.
Probably means nothing, but I thought it was cool growing up. And Will, that means you're related to Bill Bixby.
Yeah, that's like nothing.
That's not nothing. Like, yes, your grandmother was Bill Bixby's cousin. That makes you Bill Bixby's cousin in some way. Like you're in the family, dude.
Yeah.
So we're also going to change the name of the show to All About Bill Bixby, and we're going to celebrate the great life and work of the actor, Bill Bixby. Thank you. And if we wouldn't get in trouble for playing copyrighted music, I would say play the piano fade out from The Incredible Hulk, Bill Bixby walking down the interstate, hitchhiking music, but we won't play that now. So instead, we will thank everyone for the awesome emails of the week. There it is. So
I mean, we don't have to play it, but I could import it into Teenage Engineering's thing.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, if only I had thought before the show to record this, thanks to Victor and Burke's urging for me to do so. The only thing is, like, it's annoying. It's annoying once it's roped into here. Let's see here. Okay, so now we got it.
Just play it on.
Hold it by the mic or hold the mic close to it.
Oh, okay. Is this what you wanted, Ron?
This is pretty great.
Oh, yeah. See, this is beautiful.
Oh, no, not the effects.
Can't you just play it without, press and hold so that it's a preview of the unaltered clip?
Why would it be that easy, Burke?
That's fair enough.
Someone could really make magic with this, Jason.
Someone.
It might not be you, but someone could.
There you go. I wanted to give you what you all came for. You all came for Bill Bixby walking away, getting remixed by an app that Google announced earlier today. I know. There you go. All right, we've reached the end of this episode with that. Thanks so much for watching and listening and putting up with that noise there at the end there. Win, what do you want to leave people with? What you got going?
I am an Android developer, and I do occasionally do technical talks and things like that. And you can find all those, including video and code, at my website, randomlytyping.com. And otherwise, you can just find me rambling about sometimes Android development and often other things at Queen Code Monkey on Twitter and Instagram.
Right on. Good to see you, Win. Good to have you back.
Good to be back
on the show today.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Ron, what about you? What you got cooking?
Well, my friends, and this I'm talking to Emery Walton and anybody else who's curious about getting in touch with me. I am on Twitter and on Instagram at RonXO, where you can just write to me there or send me a DM. My DMs are open. Go for it. But I appreciate the tenacity there, Emery, in tracking me down. But yeah, follow me there on Twitter and Instagram, having some fun there. Go to scorebit.io to check out all the cool pinball stuff we're doing, or go to the Google Play Store and download the Scorebit app and check it out. Go play pinball. It's fun. Lots of places in the country to play pinball now, so get in on the action. So
it's a hot new trend. It's called Pinball.
It's almost as cool as Bill Bixby.
Almost. Not quite, but almost. Thank you, Burke, for all of your wrangling of the technology back there today. Obviously couldn't do it without you.
Thank you. It was quite the wrangle today.
Yes, it was. But you got there. Also, big thanks to Victor. Even more behind the scenes, editing the show, coming up with ideas like what you saw a few minutes ago. Appreciate all the work you do, Victor. Thank you. You can find me at Jason Howell on Twitter. I also do Tech News Weekly with Micah Sargent every Thursday. That's twit.tv/TNW. We do an interview show, and it's just a lot of fun bringing on journalists, people behind the news that you're reading about, that sort of stuff. As for this show, we do this show all about Android every Tuesday evening, so it publishes to the feed. If you go to twit.tv/AAA, all the feeds are listed there. You can jump out to a podcatcher of choice. You can jump out to YouTube, subscribe, and the new episodes will just appear like magic, either late Tuesday evening or early Wednesday morning. So twit.tv/AAA is what you need to know. But I think we've reached the end. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on All About Android. Bye, everybody.
There's the music.
Did you spend a lot of money on your brand new smartphone and then you look at the pictures on Facebook and Instagram and you're like, what in the world happened to that photo? Yes, you have. I know. It happens to all of us. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands On Photography, where I'm going to walk you through simple tips and tricks that are going to help make you get the most out of your smartphone camera or your DSLR or mirrorless, whatever you have. And those shots are going to look so much better. I promise you. So make sure you're tuning in to twit.tv/hop for Hands On Photography to find out more.